All right. Hello, everybody. It is December 12th here. We are coming up on the end of the year. Let's see here. Hello, Gregory. Saw you in the chat there. All right. So anyway, what I always like to do toward the end of the year is make sure everybody's ready for the next year. And remember, in the last couple of weeks, I said I was going to have some pretty revealing questions here for this call. And it's kind of like an overview. But before we get into that, does anybody have anything pressing, anything you guys want to get into?
Hi, John.
Any questions? Hey, Lindsay, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's been a while.
Yeah, where have you been?
Oh, it's been insane here. Busy, busy, busy.
Did you guys do your Mexico trip?
We did. It was interesting.
How was it? Did Jay join you guys for a little NLP session?
He did not. I don't know what happened, but he didn't come.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it was. I was looking forward to it, but it's okay. We had fun. We got a lot done.
Interesting. Yeah, we did a thing where we kind of compared NLP to the way it works on people to the way that it could potentially work on Google, and we found that it actually does. We figured out how to use NLP on Google. So that was kind of a cool thing. Gave us a new big idea for sure.
Those are always good to have many.
Yeah, absolutely. So where are you at? How are you guys doing after the last session?
Well, we have more clarity. We had a situation, I don't want to call it a situation, but we launched our face mask over Black Friday. And one of the things that occurred is we also had a Black Friday sale on our main line of lights. One of the things that occurred, however, is when we launched this with the email sequence, we ended up having like 430 people unsubscribe from our email list.
Oh, that's ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had you emailed them anything recently, or are they just like old and cold?
We don't email them as often as we should. We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Most of the time when we email them, it's just to announce our upcoming courses or any sales. And that's on us. We've already found that problem or knew about that. But Donna just wanted me to come on here to see if you had any thoughts. I mean, it's same technology, but a different application because it's a face mask.
Okay.
So I just don't know. It was just because our Photonic Health Black Friday, we didn't call it Black Friday. We called it the Season of Gratitude sale. Okay. And that one did normal. We had the normal amount of maybe, I think max 6 unsubscribers, which is normal for us. Like because our list isn't that active because we don't email them like we should. Yeah. But then we sent out, in the midst of sending those emails out, we sent out these emails with our new product.
Yeah.
And we were getting, I think we averaged about 42 unsubscribes per email for just that sequence. Okay.
Yeah. See, what you were doing there, and this is important for everybody, the way you email your list is really important that doesn't happen. Like I had this one time, I have trained my lists, and this is an important thing for you guys to do, is when you start building a subscriber base, you need to train them as to how things go. And what I mean by that is like people on my list, they know that I don't send out a bunch of sales stuff. They know I don't promote product after product. They know if I send out a product promotion that it's something that I actually use, and I always pose it in there that here's what it is, here's how I'm using it, and if this is important to you, then you should check this out. If not, just disregard, and I'll talk to you when I've got something else really cool. Mm-hmm. So it's very low key. If you if I was just sending out sales and not talking to them in that way. And remember, like back to the ACT thing, one of the most important things that you can do is figure out who you're talking to and what their language is, and speak that way to them.
Yeah.
So that's something that you want to train your audience to do. And the other thing is, you should never drop an entire list into a sequence. Okay? You can send them into a one-off, and then if they opt in, then put them in the sequence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What you were doing was you were force feeding them and clobbering them over the head one time after another, and you saw the effects of that.
Right.
So,
I mean, our sale did great.
Well, yeah, but exactly. But there was a cost to it.
Yeah.
Your list
makes sense.
Yeah, your list is a really, really valuable asset in your company. So you want to treat it like gold. So a better approach to that for next time is send out, hey, we've got this really cool new product. Here's kind of some of the features and the benefits and why you might be interested. And if this sounds like it's for you, go ahead and click here. And then when they click there, when they click that, then you can put them into a follow-up sequence.
Okay, yeah, that makes complete sense.
That would be how I would approach that. And it's really easy to do, especially in KARTRA. Are you guys using KARTRA yet, or did you?
No.
Okay, were you using Entreport or something?
Our email system is ConvertKit.
Okay.
But we can do that in there.
Yeah, so whichever system you're using, you can create those sequences, and then you trigger them just like as though it's a brand new person signing up for a sequence. But don't force feed the rest of the people if they don't want it.
Perfect.
So
that makes complete sense.
Yeah, and you know, all of this stuff is really simple, but it's like you don't think about it. You know, you do this stuff and then you go, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that.
When I came in on Monday and saw those unsubscribes, I went, oh yeah, that was probably not a good idea.
And you know, I do the same thing. I make the same mistakes, and that's one of the reasons I know. But every time I do it, I sit back and I look and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what I did wrong.
I don't call them mistakes. I call them learning experiences.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of those. I am what you would call very learned.
You learned it well.
Yeah. And one of the things, like when I do the way I've trained my list, basically, I did something that went totally against that one time, and it was in a joint venture, and I did a JV deal with somebody, and it was like cutting a deal with the devil. It's like, you know, they had a big list, they could sell my stuff, and I really wanted to do it, but they required me to sell their stuff, and their stuff was crap, quite honestly.
Yeah. And
everybody knew it, and it was like, oh man, I feel a little greasy right now, but I did it. You know, I did it. I had one of those learning experiences, and I lost about probably a third of my list. Yeah, it was big. I mean, my list isn't huge anyway. So for me to lose a third of it, it hurt. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And not only did I lose it, I got people that were emailing me on the subscribe. Like when they unsubscribe, they would email me and go, I didn't know you turned this way. It hurt. It's like, oh my God, what did I do to my reputation? I mean, I've built a lifetime reputation of doing the right thing and only working with the right people. And here, what have I done? So be careful of that. I mean, train your list, let them know who you are, how you operate. And if they're interested in more, absolutely give it to them, but only give it to the ones that raise their hand.
Got it.
So that's a good learning experience for all of us. Because I think in a lot of people, they make the mistake, and the problem is they don't have anybody to talk to, and they don't understand what the mistake was. So it's great that, you know, you got on here and threw that out, and, you know, because you probably didn't really know before, right?
No, and I never would have thought of having them opt in. Like, that didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's what's really good about this. And I learned a lot. Like I had a mastermind group here at my house last week, and I only wanted 4 people. It was kind of a test thing for me to see if I wanted to offer another sideline of a product of how to build a funnel in KARTRA. And I wanted 4 people at different levels. So I took one of my apprentices, somebody that had gone through ACT, somebody that knew about ACT and kind of knew what it was, and somebody that had no idea, never even heard of it. So I had the cross section of everyone. We went through there, and I told them along, I said, you know, this isn't a set program. We're all here to learn together. And I told them, I said, you're going to learn a lot from me, but believe it or not, I'm going to learn a lot more from you than you are from me. And, you know, nobody believes me when I say that, but I learn a lot by observation and how people take things in, and what I learn is what they need to know to be able to do what I want them to do. And that's really crucial if you're going to build products, because if you're going to build products, you want to know that they work. And, you know, like in your case, you know, the product works, but it would be really crucial for you to let some people use the product and see how it works in their mind, because it might work very differently in their mind than it actually works in reality. So that might be something very interesting for you to do as a test, is bring some people in-house and train them on one of your products and get their feedback and see how they're using it. See, like give them the product and say, pretend you just received this in the mail. Let's see what you do with it.
Okay.
And, you know, it'd be interesting to get their feedback on it. And then you'll know like how to create your materials for when they open the box. You might add another sheet in there that, hey, first thing, recognize this, or you know, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
But interacting with your audience is so crucial, that you really get that and really understand that it's the key to future sales too. Because a lot of times people will tell you, whether they come right out and say it in directly or not, they are telling you what they want. And that's the key to future products and future sales. Everybody they'll hint at it, they'll hem and haw about having to do something. And, you know, if somebody needs something done and they're complaining about doing it, that they're telling you indirectly they want a done for your product. They need this, but they just don't want to do it. I see that all the time. I mean, I can tell somebody how to do something, and I see it in their eyes. They desperately want it, but they're like, is the juice worth the squeeze? So that tells me that that's a good product to offer. Like I've had this product, or actually it's more of a service. I've had it kind of lingering in the background for years, and it's a webmaster services. And what that means is a lot of people have a website. You build them a website, and then you make it easy for them to update and all that, but they don't really want to do that. They know they're going to need updates, and they don't want to be nickel and dime. They don't want to pay for each update as they go. They don't want to be afraid to say, hey, can you do this? Because they're afraid of how much it's going to cost. And over the years, I've heard that indirectly from them. So I knew that. So creating a webmaster service where I said, okay, it's X amount per month, it's on top of your hosting, but it includes all your updates. So anytime you can just send your updates through. And that service sold really well. I stopped doing it for a while because I didn't have anybody to fulfill, and I didn't want to do the work. I'm just like them. I don't want to do it. So recently we started doing web development again, and it started up that whole new thing again. So I found a guy, and now we're offering that again. So again, it was because of listening to the audience. That's where it's all about. There's so much you can learn from listening to your audience. And so many people get wrapped up in preaching to their audience and taking this stance that, you know, they're on top of the world and no one else belongs up here. And it's not until you get down to their level and you really, you know, associate with them, then you learn. That's when you open yourself up to learn, hey, what do they want? And throughout history, more money in business has transacted hands, and people have gotten rich over identifying what people want and just offering it. You know, almost every market on the planet, there's holes. There's things that are not being served to the full extent. So if you can just find a hole, find a little pocket somewhere that's not being served, and step in and offer that service or offer that product, whatever it is, fill the hole. It's like that movie about the math teacher. He said, go ahead, just fill the hole. Pretty funny stuff. All right, anybody else? Anybody else got anything before we kind of get into the year-end wrap-up? Chris, looks like you're trying to unmute there.
Hi. Yeah. So I got a quick question. I've got a customer whose website is basically they're broken. They need a KARTRA or a funnel type system. It's a fitness company, and
Okay.
they keep resisting updating their site because it's not responsive. And how do you approach them in a way that how can I approach them in a way to say, hey, look, you can actually turn this into a revenue generating machine instead of just like this brochureware. And I guess it's been about 6 months. I'm about to turn her site off because her credit card expired, but I need to have a meeting with her. But she's like been blowing me off and doesn't see value in the website. And I know for a fact that this is a great area where she's in right now, and
Okay.
she could have local traffic.
Well, first thing you just said there is she doesn't see the value in the website. So first thing you need to do is agree with her. Go down to her level and go, you know, I can understand your feeling, and the way your website is right now, you're right, there is no value in it.
Yeah.
The only way to get value in that is to bring it up to the standards of where it will be valuable. You know, see what I mean? You don't preach at them of, oh, you know, that's not working, that's not right. You have to go down and associate with them.
Or ask them if they're interested in getting new members.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is what I always do with anybody, if I'm going to take on a customer.
Well, it's an old customer. I mean, I've had them for 5 years.
Okay. Well, even if you're going to take on a new project for an old customer, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Whenever you enter into a transactional relationship, it's really important to understand what the expectations are.
Right.
Like what, and one of the things I would ask them is, what do you want out of this? What do you want your site to do? What would make it valuable? Because again, you're asking them for their words.
Yeah.
If she's saying the site isn't valuable, what would make it valuable in her eyes? Because that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. What would you like the site to do? You know, the site's obviously not doing what you want right now. So I would love to fix it for you. What do you want it to do? And I can show you how to make it do that.
Yeah.
That way she'll tell you exactly what she wants, and then the expectations are correct. And if you can do it, then you can take the job on. If you can't make those expectations, you're better off to pass.
Yeah.
If she's expecting something unrealistic and you can't shed some light on the reality of it and get her to understand realistic expectations, that's a customer you should walk away from, because it won't end good.
Yeah. Well, as it is right now, I've been sort of floating her for the last 3 months because I've been super busy and haven't had a time to to, go over there and get her new credit card, or she doesn't really respond to my phone calls.
Yeah.
And,
I've got a couple of those, and Barb does my billing, so she's the one that chases down the old credit cards and deals with all that stuff. And we've had a couple people that they have been customers of mine for over 20 years.
Yeah.
We've been doing their website since websites were not a thing.
Yeah.
And at this point, we sat down. We always do this at the end of the year. We talk about, okay, what are we going to do better next year? And we decided one of the things we're going to do better is let those guys go. We're just going to let them go. We're not going to keep floating them and chasing them for money and do all that. We've got,
just turn off her site and say, if you're interested, get back to me.
Yeah, like this one guy, I pay his registration, his domain registration.
Yeah.
And it's $10.
Yeah.
And he hasn't paid for it in 3 years. So we told him, like, 6 months in, we go, your domain registration's due in December.
Yeah.
So if you don't pay it this time, we're not paying it again for you.
Yeah.
And he didn't pay it, and it's gone.
Wow.
So we just let her rip.
Yeah. Spend your time on people.
So yeah, it's like there's so many people in the world that are good to deal with. It's not worth trying to chase the ones that are not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was looking at it as this is a 20-plus-year-old customer. I need to take care of them. But hey, if they don't care enough about me to pay a $10 bill, why should I care about them? I'm almost turning into Google. It's like, if the rest of the world doesn't care about you, why should I? That's their point of view. And I know that's kind of nasty, but there's a point. There's a breaking point. And I am really generous on every front. Like, I will give someone the benefit of the doubt, but you string me out for 3 years, there's a breaking point there.
Yeah, I've got 2 other customers that have to do that too. I mean, every time I turn off her site, she calls me up saying, please, I just need to have this site up for a while. I'm like, Now here, let me give you another example
of my generosity paying off tenfold. I had a big customer, and this was a good customer. I'd had him for years, and they had something happen in their business, and they took a massive hit. And he could not afford to even pay his web hosting bill. I mean, let alone the SEO. We're doing probably 10 grand a month in SEO for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had to pull the plug on that, and he couldn't even afford to pay the hosting bill. I actually floated him on that for 2 years while he got things back in order. And then he came back and he said, you know what? He said, I'll never work with anyone but you. He goes, you get everything from me forever and all the referrals. And in the process of while I was doing this stuff for him for free, he was sending me clients that were just as big as he was.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like Nadine, she's not even doing that.
So anyways, we have a new client that we've been building a relationship with, and she has a series of books.
And a vitamin company.
Well, we don't really want to talk about the vitamin company right this second, because she wants to focus on marketing books. So I told her about you, and she wanted to talk to you. And then she said, well, why don't you learn the system and then I'll work with you. So that's what we're in the process. We're leaving tomorrow for Maine. And so I haven't really had time to learn. But how long do you think it'll take me to learn KARTRA and ACT? About a couple of weeks, or?
To do it fluently, probably several months, maybe.
Okay. Do you have someone that can train me on it to do it?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. You can do all the steps. There's nothing difficult about any of it.
Okay.
So when I say months like that, it's a matter of it's like a learning curve you're going through to get good at anything.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between doing something and being good at it.
Okay, yeah.
So you could do it. I mean, I've had people go through, I have one guy, he went through the ACT program in like a day. And by the end of the week, he had a funnel up in KARTRA.
Okay.
So you can do the stuff. And I was guiding him, you know, I was looking at the stuff and correcting, and, you know, he was at apprentice level. So I was, you know, editing his copy and doing that kind of stuff. But literally within a week, this guy had an operating funnel up that was working.
Yeah.
So you can do the stuff quickly, but getting good at it, like if you're not used to operating in systems like KARTRA, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of little things. I don't even use it all yet. I've been using it for almost 2 years now. I'm really good at it. I can get a lot of stuff done, but there's some things in there that I haven't even touched yet.
Okay. So are there videos that I can watch on how to do it?
Yeah, actually, when you signed up, there's a day 1, day 2, day 3.
Okay.
Yeah, KARTRA has an incredible help section with videos on everything.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot.
Learner. I learned how to edit through a program online. It took me 6 months. So I enjoy learning, but I need to have a video. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have really good videos. They're literally step by step. Their training is awesome. Like their integrations, like when you go to integrate something, I'll admit something to you guys that I just started using Google Calendar yesterday for the first time in my life.
Wow.
Wow, that's an awesome system.
love Google Calendar.
It is. I love it. I've fallen in love with it in the last 24 hours, but I just had this big block up of not using Google stuff, and I don't know why. But and then I thought, oh God, you know, it'll integrate with KARTRA, but what's that going to be like? You know, it sounds like programming. I went in, I pulled up the KARTRA documentation, and they literally had screenshots of every step. And within 2 minutes, I had my Google Calendar integrated with KARTRA.
Okay.
Like 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, but again, it was something I've never done in KARTRA, but you can do anything in there. They've got step-by-step instruction on everything.
So KARTRA does lead pages and stuff. So the ACT, what is the ACT? How does that go together?
Okay, ACT is a training program. ACT is to teach you how to market.
Oh, okay.
ACT teaches you like how to create a campaign from a conceptual standpoint, and the actual physical of the copy, how to write the copy for it, how to figure out, you know, what a good lead magnet is, all of that. So ACT is like, think of ACT as an education.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get really good at something, you know, you go up and you go through the what do they call it? Master's program. And you become a doctor of something. Think about ACT as that's what that is. That's a doctorate program.
And then I use KARTRA to implement.
Yes, KARTRA is a tool.
Okay.
So KARTRA is a tool, and it's like all the tools you would ever want in one toolkit.
Okay, I get it.
So instead of going out and like buying a shopping cart software and buying an autoresponder software and buying a calendar software and buying opt-in software and this and that and the other and a lead page software, it's just all of that in one convenient place.
Okay.
And it all plays nice together. When you go and you buy all those pieces and then you got to bootstrap them together, you come into all kinds of problems.
And that's the challenge we've been dealing with Infusionsoft, because it's not responsive on mobile devices. We have to custom everything.
Yeah.
We've quickly lost credibility with a customer that's like, well, we've already invested in Infusionsoft. We hate it. And now you want to get us on another program?
Yeah.
You know, so what do we do now? So that's how I'm trying to figure out how to get an existing customer on Infusionsoft.
Yeah, I just took this morning, I had an 8 to 9 appointment with one of our apprentices, and she needed to get a funnel up. Actually, it wasn't a full funnel. It was just she had a book that needed to be sold. So we went in there and we started at 8. I had another appointment at 9, so we had literally an hour. And we set up her whole thing, and at the end of it, she had a fully functioning order page that somebody could place that order. The order page, the thank you page, the whole, everything all connected.
That's what I need to do. Once I get to Maine, I'll call you and set up a schedule with you to do what you just said, because that's basically what I need to do for my client.
Okay, yeah, and it's super easy.
For you too.
Well, it's nice to do it for somebody else, and then I'll learn it for myself and then do it for myself.
Yeah, I'm actually still doing that for the most part. Like SEO, for instance, is as adept as I am at SEO, and there's a lot of people that will say I'm the best. I don't know that that's true. I don't even think that's true. But there's so many people that refer to me in that way, and I've never done it for myself.
Yeah.
I didn't like do it for myself and learn it and then share it.
Yeah.
I was paid to do it. I was paid to figure it out.
That's what I want to do. I want to get paid to figure it out, and then I'll just do it for myself after I get paid to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's how I became the best at it, because I had a literal unlimited budget and unlimited resources, because I was like a mercenary. You know, I am there funded to fight a war. And I was really good at it. I still am. But it wasn't on my dime. I see so many people that they want to get into the SEO business and they think, oh, well, I have to do it for myself first. How old is my site? My site's never really truly been optimized. Ever.
Wow.
It hasn't really stopped me from having a very successful career. You know, because again, it's back to that whole thing. Nobody cares about you. They care about what you can do for them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like the whole thing. It's almost like a nursery rhyme, the cobbler with no shoes. You know, he's so busy putting shoes on the whole city that his kids don't have shoes.
Yeah.
You know, because he's not paid to put shoes on his kids' feet.
Yeah.
But he's really good at it.
Yeah.
Could he do it? Sure.
Yeah.
But he's putting his customers ahead of that.
Yeah.
So like I put that out, I like, who do you want to hire? Do you want to hire somebody that is so concerned with themselves that they put themselves ahead of their customers?
Yeah.
Or do you want someone that is more concerned with their customers and put them first? That's me.
Yeah, that's me too.
So when you talk to your customers in that way, like if they brought that up and say, well, your site's not optimized, and you explained it in that way,
yeah,
do you think it's still going to be an objection?
No.
No. It's actually going to become powerful.
Yeah.
It's actually going to put everything in your favor, and it's going to make them trust you. It's going to build trust, rapport, create demand and desire, all that stuff that we talk about being so important in a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So everything that you do, every word that comes out of your mouth, every word that goes down on paper should be looked at as marketing. And I break it into 4 pieces. It should either be with the intent of grabbing attention, the intent of building demand and desire, the intent of eliminating an objection, or the intent of making an offer. Everything. Everything that you do. It's not all about making a sale, but making a sale is just the one piece on the end.
Yeah.
That's really where marketing and sales crosses the line. Marketing becomes sales when you ask for the order. But all the way through, you notice 3/4 of it was not sales.
Right.
That's the part that will make the sales explode.
Okay.
So many people focus on the 25%. They're all on the sales. They're all about get it now. They're all about, you know, skipping the dating process and going right to the marriage, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just makes you look like a creeper.
Right.
So
I know.
you don't want to be a business creeper. You know, a business creeper is no better than a personal creeper.
Right.
So marketing, really, I cannot stress that enough. That is the backbone. That's the key to success in business, is understanding how to communicate with your market. That's marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the ACT program is. It is an education of just exactly how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're weak on that point, you're going to be weak all across the board in your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so many people, they want to, here's another thing you want to avoid. You want to avoid trying to act too smart.
Right.
That is a deal breaker for a lot of people because they can't associate.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk to them from a level above them. You want to get right down and talk to them as though you're just like them.
Mm-hmm.
So everything, like when you're creating your marketing, you're creating how you're going to talk to people, your elevator speech, your copy, your offers, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You want it at about a 3rd grade level.
Yeah.
3rd grade, maybe up to 6th. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go beyond that. Don't speak in complicated sentences. And even if it's a sophisticated market,
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. It's
Right.
not marketing. When you read stuff like that, have you ever read something from somebody that they're trying to act smart?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to read. It makes you work. It makes you like think about all these words like, oh, what the hell does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's work. You don't want to put a mountain of work in front of somebody you're trying to get an order from.
Yeah.
Make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Simple sentences, simple concepts, connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
If you can turn the light bulb on, you've done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I get it. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I want that. That's all you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to, so many people put like, you know, I call it a snow job. They're piling all this stuff in front of something to try and make themselves look good. I
Yeah.
see this with speakers and it just makes me want to throw up.
Yeah.
You get this speaker and they go on stage and they start talking about themselves and, oh, I did this and I did that and I've got this car and I live in this mansion, and you know, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares about any of that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing that? It's probably because they're hiding the fact that they're deficient.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to use smoke and mirrors to eliminate the fact that they're not really that good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
I see right through that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, you know, that's just the truth of the matter. So that's why marketing's so important. You know, you need to convey the value. You need to convey, most of all, that they're going to get what they want.
Yeah.
You know, in the ACT program, the timeline, that's such a critical element. It's like, it's almost like the backbone of all this stuff, because in the timeline exercise, it's understanding where that person is, what situation they're in, their current status in life and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of the timeline is where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
If your product or service actually fulfills that and will transform them and take them there,
Mm-hmm.
it now becomes your job to convey that so they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're where they are and they're not where they want to be, they're in some sort of pain. And if you are there to serve that and eliminate that pain and you don't do it, you didn't serve them very well. And you didn't serve yourself very well. Because you didn't get the business and they didn't get the problem solved.
Yeah.
So you didn't help anybody. So if you're doing things that is not getting the message across, and it's not turning the light bulb on, and it's not getting them to do what they need to do to get where they want to go, you're not serving them.
Yeah.
So that's where marketing comes in. If you don't figure out how to do it well, you're not going to serve very many people.
Yeah.
And life's going to be hard. Business is going to be hard. You're probably going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all those stats come in. You know, like Forbes magazine says, you know, 80, I think it's 82% or some ridiculous amount of businesses fail in the first 18 months.
Yeah.
It's because they don't know the marketing. It's not because they don't have good stuff.
Right.
It's not because they're not good people. It's they don't know how to convey it.
Right.
They don't know how to relate to their customers, and they don't know how to get them to understand how good and valuable what they have is. That's it. That's the biggest reason that they're going to fail. You know, it's generally not money, because if you can figure out, if you're sharp, you can figure out how to generate the money before you have to spend it. You know, some people say, well, I can't run the business because I can't afford to build the product. There's a little thing called pre-selling things. One of my clients, they built a thing called Water Car. The Water Car was an amphibious vehicle that was just like a Corvette that you could literally drive right down the launch ramp into the water and take off like a boat. It cost them millions of dollars to develop that they didn't have. It did not prevent the company from running because they took pre-orders. They said, here's what we're going to do. This thing is awesome. They, you know, their market was guys that want something no one else has. Those guys have a lot of money. Their problem is they need the next coolest thing, so they're the cool kid on the block and no one else has it, and they get it first. If someone else in their neighborhood gets it first, it makes them look like a schmuck. So that's their problem. Believe it or not, this is serious. There are people that actually have that issue.
Yeah.
So here they were offering a way to eliminate that. You can have the first amphibious vehicle. The problem is we're building it. We don't have the funds to do it. So if you want to pre-buy it, as soon as we get 10 orders, we should be able to deliver the first one.
Yeah, you should.
People literally threw down millions of dollars to fund that company from scratch. They didn't get a loan. They didn't do any of that stuff.
Wow.
They pre-sold.
We were just talking about a client this morning who has this incredible idea.
It's a helicopter company. It's an electric helicopter.
And
there you go. That's the same thing.
There's a huge risk though, because if you take people's money, especially large dollars, and you fail, the crowdfunding scenario, you can get into fraud and all kinds of other problems.
Well, the only way you get into fraud is if you didn't try. If you try and something happens and it just fails, I mean, that's a risk. That's a known risk. When they put the money up front, they're signing a contract for it. The only reason that would be fraud is if you had no intent to actually try.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll talk to him because he's
for years.
He's got a project that's mostly tested, but it's not fully implemented.
No, but if he doesn't hurry up and do it,
nobody that has the kind of money to buy into something like that is not familiar with risk.
Yeah.
They're all very familiar with risk. Here's the risk. Here's the reward. If it's worth it, they do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to help his marketing campaign for free. I don't know. We'll see.
So
let's focus on the year. What's the lessons for the year and what's up for next year?
All right. Here's the part where this becomes painful. It's a matter of looking back at this year and really being honest with looking at, okay, what did you get out of this year? And the honesty comes into looking at what'd you do to get it. And when you write this stuff down and you really internalize it, you'll see why you are where you are during the year. And like I said, this for a lot of people, myself included, could be very painful. And when it comes down to it, your success is based on a few things, one of which is sales. Probably the biggest thing of all is sales. This is how most people measure success, is how much money they made. And whether it's right or wrong or how you feel about it, it doesn't really matter. The truth of the matter is most people will judge you on how successful you are by how much you make. Right? It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So that's based on your sales. So when you look back at your sales numbers, the painful part is looking at why. And when you look at why, you go back and you look at, okay, well, how many new products did you develop during the year? How many sales did you have? How many marketing campaigns did you build? How many new big ideas did you come up with?
Mhm.
How many people did you add to your mailing list? How much did you spend on advertising? You start looking at all that stuff. You basically break down, and some of you don't spend money on advertising, so that might be something to look at. The other thing I look at is, what did you not do that you should have done?
Mhm.
And like for me, what I've been doing a lot of lately, I've been driving a lot of sales through affiliate partners. And in that, it's costing. It's just like spending money on advertising. If you give 50% to the affiliate, basically you had a 50% ad spend, which I'm totally fine with. That's like asking me, if I gave you $1 and you gave me $2 back, would that be a good deal? Pretty good deal, right?
Right.
If I told you I'd give you $200 back for every $100 you gave me, your first question would be, how often can we do that? You know, would you want to do that once a year, or would you want to do it as fast as we could trade money across the table?
Mhm.
You know, that's basically what we're talking about there. So for me, it's like, how many of those deals did I set up?
Mhm.
How many do I want to set up next year? And then you get a clear picture of what you should be doing come January 1st.
Mhm.
And you make sure that the pain of not having done it from this year doesn't move forward to next year when you do this exercise again.
Right.
Next year, you want to say, I kicked ass. I did this many campaigns. I did this many ads. I spent a boatload on advertising, and it paid off.
Mhm. I'm looking forward to December 31st next year.
Yeah, and those ads will not pay off unless you get the marketing right.
Mhm.
If you don't get that process of grab attention,
Mhm.
create demand and desire, eliminate objections, and make an offer, if you don't get good at that process,
Mhm.
this won't work. All the ads in the world, all the money spent in the world on ads will not pay off.
Yeah.
That's why ACT is so important. That's exactly what it is. It's figuring out that process.
Awesome.
So that's what you want to do. You know, how many things did you offer? How many lead magnets did you create? Because a lead magnet is one of the best ways to get people on your list.
Mhm.
So how big did your list grow in the last year? If you look at how big the list grew, that's the equivalent of how many sales you made and how many ads you ran.
Mhm.
When you look at your list and you say, how big did the list grow? It's directly based on how many lead magnets you offered.
Mhm.
How many ways did you give people to opt in? The bigger the list, the bigger the sales, because the list is the key to delivering that marketing campaign.
Mhm.
You can't do this face-to-face, one-on-one. You'll just drop dead from exhaustion.
Mhm.
You want to automate this process. The way big businesses automated this is they hired salespeople.
Mhm.
Right? That's the way it used to be.
Mhm.
Now it makes it much easier. We can automate that in an automated sales funnel, automated marketing funnel, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
But no matter how you slice it, it's a sales process.
Mhm.
And if you can automate that, then the key is delivering it. Now you got an automated machine. That's what KARTRA is. KARTRA is that machine to automate that process. Now it comes down to the final part of ACT, which is the T for traffic. It's driving them through.
Mhm.
How many people did you drive through?
Mhm.
So the more lead magnets you create, the more big ideas that you come up with. Generally, a big idea will offer a lead magnet. It'll be like, that's the first thing, first step. The more of those you come up with, the bigger your list is going to grow. And the bigger your list is, the more of those automated sales funnels or sales cycles, whatever you want to call them, sales process, the more of those that are going to be in process being delivered all the time. That's where the money while you sleep happens.
Yeah.
Saying money while you sleep without associating it with all of that is a pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing you're going to have while you're sleeping is that pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have any money when you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get all that stuff in place, that's where that famous term, money while you sleep, happens. A lot of times, here is good marketing at play, taking your money and not delivering. Somebody will sell you on that idea of money while you sleep. They show it to you. They show you all the money they're making. And then they hold up a shiny object, and you equate that shiny object to them making all that money, which is not true.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy it with the expectation you're going to make that money too, and it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just evil, good marketing on their part.
Mm-hmm.
It's very deceptive, and there's a lot of that. You know.
Yeah, I'm developing a product. Kara Wagner's helping me because I'm a registered dental hygienist, and I'm creating a continuing education course for dentists and hygienists, and they have to do 24 CEUs every 2 years. And each dentist or hygienist, they're not on the same cycle. So every month, there's like a group of people that need to get CEUs. So I'm developing that as well. And so we'll see how that turns out this year.
Yeah, if it's something that you can automate, you create the sales cycle, all that stuff, you put it on autopilot.
Yeah.
Then it's just a revenue generator. The
Yeah.
more of those you have, the more you'll make and the more success you'll have based on money.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that's going to solve, all your problems, but
Oh, right.
money will certainly help.
Money problems, yeah, but personal problems, money cannot fix.
Yeah. It certainly helps soothe it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. I mean, look at, last year I actually had the intent of making a chart where I had all the things down that I look at, and I just didn't do it. It's one of those things. That was one of my intents last year, and I didn't fulfill it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I got sidetracked actually making money. This year, I got to tell you, I don't know what it was. Something just kind of clicked with me about a third of the way into the year, and I actually started selling stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time since I actually tried to sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
I've just kind of been floating and gliding along and, helping everybody else. But I actually started refining processes, refining programs, and just going back to resell. One of the things was, I thought, I'm telling people how to sell stuff, yet I'm not doing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of in the back of my mind thought, shit, I better go back and see if the stuff works still. And I got to tell you, it still does.
Yeah.
I'll go out. I've been doing speaking engagements, and it all still works. And if you do it the right way, it still works.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
that's what sidetracked me, was actually being successful, making sales. I didn't get the sheet made. That one's on me. I'll try better next year. Hopefully by this time next year, I'll have that sheet and I'll send it out to everybody.
You probably, compared to most people, did exceptionally well.
I'm sure that's accurate.
But I like that you look at where you're at, and it doesn't matter what the numbers are. You always want to improve.
Yeah. You can always do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of the things about us human creatures, is it doesn't matter what we have.
Yeah.
We're always going to want something more.
Yeah.
And that's just human nature. It's not bad. It's not evil. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why I say with the timeline, when you sell a product or service and you fulfill the timeline, you've taken the person from where they were to where they wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? The timeline starts over again.
Mm-hmm.
because now they're at the new spot. That happens to be the new current position. And then you look forward, okay, where do they want to be next?
Yeah.
That is the perfect next product.
Yeah.
That's how you figure out, you know, when people are asking me, I don't know what to make next. It's really easy. Look at your person. Look at where you took them. What do they want next? What they want next or what they need next, that's what you make. That's your next product.
Okay, that's cool. It keeps you creative. You know, I'm an artist, and this is cool because it's not maybe a photo that you're drawing or a film. It's a creative process, and I think I enjoy that a lot.
Business in general is an incredibly creative process. It's not science.
No.
The key is to represence what they started with and where they're at now, and to show the progress. Because in my experience, if you can show a customer, hey, you've made this amount of progress by using this system or this method, then they're like, oh, you're right. Well, I can do more of that. And then it's sort of like a breadcrumb to the next.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you brought that up, because thinking back, that's one of the things that I've always done with all my commercial accounts. Every year at the end of the year, I would have a sit down with each one of them, whether, you know, and some of them were across the country, so I'd do it with a call, or now I can use Zoom, so we can literally be face to face. But that's one of the things. I always did an annual meeting with them, and we would go over what we had done and what we could potentially do better in the next year. And they always like that. That they really, really like that. And a lot of times what happens is I get a deeper understanding of what they're really doing, and I can help them better.
Yeah.
Like for instance, that's one of my best favorite stories is right from that exercise. It's the guy that was selling fins and snorkels and masks. You know, he supplied retreats and resorts with all their water sports equipment. You know, so he supplied, you know, 1,000 flippers and masks and snorkels to big resorts. And then, you know, some of the bigger ones, he would supply kayaks and bigger stuff, but all related to water sports. So at the first annual meeting, I asked him, I sat down, I said, okay, looking at what we sold, what was the most profitable for you? And that clicked, a light bulb went off, and he says, oh, well, we weren't selling the most profitable thing. And I'm like, why not? And I go, what is the most profitable thing? And he said, well, it's the custom water slides. And I'm like, okay, well, I think that that's a really good point, that we should start in January moving into next year, and we should add that to the list. So I did. I re-optimized his site. We optimized him for custom water slides. And he was in his office on a weekend, on a Saturday. The phone rings, which he never got calls on a Saturday because his buyers don't work on Saturday. But he gets this call on Saturday. A woman on the other end of the line says, hey, this is Celine Dion. And he thought it was a joke, and he hung up on her. Well, it really was her. And she called back. And she said, we just got disconnected. You know, this is Celine Dion from Las Vegas. And he's like, well, you know, what can I do for you? How did you hear about me? And she says, well, I want a water slide from my backyard, and you came up #1 on Google for that. That's why I'm calling. And that afternoon, she flew him out to Vegas, and he wound up putting $1 million water slide in her backyard.
That's so awesome.
And the story doesn't end there. The guy was so fired up about that. He didn't wait for the next year. He came back. He wanted his meeting early.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, what do you want to do? What, you know? And he said, I want to go after water parks.
Oh.
And I'm like, holy shit, can you build a water park? He's like, oh yeah. He goes, I have all the vendors. I can do it. I want to do it. So I'm like, all right, who am I to say no? You know? So I re-optimized his site, and the next thing we know, he gets a job from Dubai for $100 million water park.
That's so awesome.
from that exercise. That was 2 steps into that exercise. Step 1, figure out what's more profitable, optimize for that. Step 2, figure out there's no limits. Let's shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
He was 2 steps away from his like unbelievable goal. He didn't even know it was a goal when we started.
Wow. Yeah.
He just wanted to supply all those resorts and water parks. He didn't know he could build one. So that's just, that's one of my favorite stories. And it's from a procedure that I've just done with all my commercial clients over the years. And there's lots of those. A lot of times, when they come to you, they're in a completely different mindset at the end of that year. When you've fulfilled and you've done your part and you exceeded their expectations, and then the conversation changes. It's really a cool thing. That is one of the most cool things in my business, is just that. So, and again, it's that whole year-end thing. What can we do better next year? And just understanding what you did this year. And it's always, everything always comes down to math. I said there's a lot of art to this. This is a very creative process. But under the hood of almost everything, there's math. And
that's the result, really.
Yeah. Even in art, there's always math under the hood if you look deep enough. It's always there. Everything in life, there's a math-based base to it. I found that to be true.
Numbers.
Yeah, I found that to be true in almost everything. And when you look at it that way, you'll see your result is based on the math. You just have to figure out what's the formula. And for me, it's almost like an algebra equation, the x plus y plus x equals z. And what the formula is, it's all those things. It's how many lead magnets, how many big ideas, how many sales funnels, how many offers, how many joint venture partners, how many affiliate offers, how much advertising. When you put all those together, that's your math.
Yeah.
And you'll see the results are exact. It's your results are based off what you did almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So if you want to change the results, you got to change the math.
Yeah.
And that's what I found just so important, is looking at that and figuring out what is that math and how do we change it. So that's the only reason I wanted to throw this little exercise out for you guys, because I just think it's the key to more success for the next year.
Thank you so much. Just by working with you and just the last few months has shifted my thinking. And I would have never been thinking about any of the stuff that I'm doing right now.
Well, cool. So, that's my intent. That's my desired outcome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we will be on again next week, and then we've got the holidays. I don't know how it falls, but it might interrupt our schedule a little bit. But anyway, if I don't see you guys before the end of the year, have a great holiday season and great new year. But I will be on the call, but I know times get busy. So if you can't make it, it was great having you on here for the whole year, and I love doing what I do. So
thank you so much, John, and best wishes for you and Barb to have a awesome holiday too, and all of you online. Gregory, I owe you a phone call. I've been thinking about you for the last couple of days, but just happy New Year too.
And Callie's new client Maggie is going to be calling you. I think she wants to sign up with KARTRA, but I think
we'll figure it out. It's kind of holiday season. So, she's not in any hurry, but because I don't want her to sign up for it and have no result. I want to figure something out.
Yeah, I always tell people to hold off on signing up for KARTRA until you're ready for it.
Right. And we'll be ready in about, I'm going to say by the end of January.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah, but I'll see you at the mastermind.
All right, awesome.
I'm flying back, but see you.
Sounds good. Well, I'll probably schedule something around that too for anybody that's in from out of town, so you can get a double bang for your buck.
Oh, thank you.
She needs the first day of ACT because she never she wasn't able to make that day because she was working.
Oh,
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do one of those on the weekend before that. That would be cool.
oh, thank you. I'm actually going to be in Melody Harper's course 9, 10, 11 in Orange County.
Okay. When is his? Is it?
She's having it on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then I have the 12th off, and then 13, 14 is Mastermind.
Okay, so she spills over into Saturday then.
Yeah, she does.
Okay, gotcha.
So maybe
All
we
right.
could do the Saturday after, maybe, or the Saturday before. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see what we can come up with.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
One way or another, we'll work it out.
Okay. Take good care.
Thanks, John.
Bye, everyone.
All right, guys, have a great week, and like I said, if I don't see you, happy holidays to everybody.
I'll probably see you, but I'll see you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.